If you think the ex is controlling now, trust me, it will only get worse. Ladies, you are not going to change her. Let me say it again. Ladies, you are not going to change her. And the truth is, and you may not want to hear this, but in a sense, the ex still has an upper hand as it pertains to your man or your husband. And we're going to unpack why this is, because this is important to know. It is something that you must consider, right? Know before you go down the aisle. And again, if you are already married, you need to know how to navigate through these muddy waters because I promise you, it will only get worse before it gets better. Welcome back to Before You Do with Verlyn. I'm your favorite premarital coach. Ladies, you have to carefully consider what you're getting into when or if you marry someone with a controlling ex. Let me define ex again. When I say ex, I'm referring to an ex-wife or an ex long-term girlfriend where children are involved in the picture. So again, ex can be an ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend. Here's the thing. Whenever there are children involved, in a sense, that ex will always have the upper hand because most of the time, if you're a good dad or you have gotten yourself together with a good man, he wants to be a good dad. Sure, he may be divorced and they may be living two separate lives, but the bottom line is she has the upper hand because of the children. All right. Because they will always be something that brings them back together. There's always a reason to communicate. There's always a reason to work together. Am I against that? Absolutely not. I believe in co-parenting and doing it very civilly. And that is definitely in the best interest of the children. However, when we are talking about a controlling ex, that has nothing to do with being in the best interests of the children or the child. That has everything to do with the ex wanting to manipulate. And the children are simply pawns that she will use to manipulate your man. This is something that you have to prepare for. All right. And I'm here to help you do that. Why is this an issue? Why is she still able to control, in addition to the fact that children are involved? It could be that there is a level of guilt that your man deals with. Men want to be a hero. Men want to be seen as the one who comes in, right, and saves a damsel in distress. He wants to be looked up to, especially by his children. He wants his son to emulate him. He wants his daughter to see, again, the superhero in him. He does not want to disappoint the children. And most of the time, it's hard to detach disappointing the children from disappointing the mother. And this is what I'm saying. Women are great manipulators. You can call them strategizers, whatever you want to call it. But we know how to use children to keep control of the ex. And most of the time, especially when they're young, they don't realize it. They don't know what they're doing. But trust me, that ex knows what she's doing. One of the most popular ways of manipulating and controlling is access. What do I mean? Access to the children. If you do something as a man and you make her angry, you don't do what she's requiring, all right? You're not constantly on call. One of the first things she may do is deny access to the children. What does that look like? Maybe it's your weekend to have them. Then all of a sudden, I can't bring them. Or, oh, you can't pick them up. They can't come with you. They've made other plans. Anything that denies access, even if you have a court order. And again, that is to manipulate and control, because if you didn't do what she wanted you to do this past week, then that means she may deny access to the children. All right. That could be visitation. That could mean phone calls. Worst of all, and I have seen this done often more than not, she will try to turn the children against you or put them in a position where they have to choose sides. All right. Your father did this. Your father didn't do that. And they use these statements to paint the dad as a bad father or a bad man. And when you have younger children, they don't have the capacity to sort through all of these things that they're being told and to make sound judgment. They will pretty much go with what the mother is saying. All right. And that's common. And we can't fault the children for that, especially when they are younger, because we cannot put the responsibility of what the ex is doing onto the children. And so when your man rather is denied access, denied a phone call, made to look bad, it gets in his mind that in order to stay on the good side of the ex, he has to do what she says. And that's when boundaries are crossed or maybe never even put in place, because it's like just the open field day, whatever she says goes. And he does not feel, especially if he does not have some sort of court order, or if she is the dominant parent, there's no joint custody. He does not see how to navigate around it. Right? One of the things I say is with court, whether it's money, whether it's visitations, you can put these laws in place, you can write them down. However, you cannot legislate a heart. What I'm saying is this: she may have a court order, but she can still determine and manipulate where the children may not want to see their father. And that's a sad occasion, but it does happen. And so one of the reasons, again, she can still manipulate is because the children are pawns. And she understands that that man wants to be a good dad. He wants to be a hero. He wants to be seen as a good man in the eyes of his children. And so she can use that to manipulate him. I need more money. I want more money. I need this. Stop, drop, and roll every time I call. I need to have access to you night and day. All of these are things that violate on every area, in every sense of the word. However, if that man does not know how to deal with that ex, he will be under her mercy. And these are signs you need to look for when you're dating. Does he stop, drop, and roll every time she calls? Does he defend every action? Does she call multiple times a day? Does she make these unwarranted demands? If you see these signs, it is a clear indicator that she is a manipulating and controlling ex. And you need to understand before you marry them, again, you're not going to change that. As a matter of fact, not only are you not going to change that or change her, most likely it will get worse. Why? I'm glad you asked. There are women who don't want that man anymore. They don't want to be with him. They divorced him. That does not mean they want that man to move on and be happy with someone else. It's the old, I don't want you, but I don't want anyone else to have you either. That is a real thing. There is nothing that you can do about it, because you can't, again, you can't legislate somebody's mind, somebody's thoughts. You have to see the signs and recognize that, yeah, she might not have wanted him anymore, but that doesn't mean she wants you to have him. So what does that mean? It means that the battle is on. And you got to gear up and be ready for it, because you know what? Lots of times, and this has happened, and I saw it in my case, men evolve. Maybe in their 20s, they're still finding their way, mid 20s, 30s, and then they get to a point where they kind of level out and they see who they are and they go for the gusto, right? Whether it's the career, whether it's the character. And so you have these women who married young, and they went through all of these horrible changes with this man. And now they divorced him. And now he's with someone else. However, he's not the same person that he was at 20, now that he's 35, right? And so this growth period is seen by the ex. And now all of a sudden he's settled. He's mature. He's a gentleman. He has a good and a sound job and a much better income. He has characteristics that she wanted 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And now she's seeing him with everything she wanted, but he's giving it to another woman. To her, that is not fair because she spent all the time going through all the things with that man. In that sense, she is not happy. And she will, at any given time, control and manipulate because it makes her feel better about the situation. Notice I didn't say it makes her feel good, but it makes her feel better because if she can, in a sense, cause chaos, then it gives her some relief. And we all understand the term misery loves company. So these are all reasons, again, why that ex will continue to control and manipulate. Number one, she's got pawns. They're called children or a child. Number two, she may not have wanted him anymore, but she doesn't want you to have him. Number three, misery loves company. All right? She is not going to be happy seeing the two of you together being happy if she is not happy. All of these things, I'll say again, you must consider before you say I do with a man who has a controlling, manipulating ex. And I'm just throwing out some very general things. I'm going to break this down even more on future podcasts. What I'm doing is giving you ideas to why. I know I had questions. I was like, why is this happening? Why is she like this? Why is she doing this? And it took some years to figure out the whys. And what I'm doing, I'm taking some years and the learning curve off. And then we'll talk about how do you navigate through the why. Lots of times you cannot solve problems. You can't even understand the problem until you understand why. We already know who, right? The ex, you, your husband. And sometimes in the beginning, when you go through things, it can make you very angry, very frustrated. However, once you understand why, especially as women, because we want other women to be happy, right? And when we understand that that woman has been through some things, okay, and clearly that ex has not healed, she's still very angry, which is why she's either holding on or giving pushback on every turn. Why? Because of the things I stated, because she can, and because she went through things, and because she's still in that place, she's having a hard time seeing her ex with you. When you have more understanding, it can give you more patience when you deal with your man because women can see things that men cannot see, especially as relates to other women. We have a keen sense. We have discernment. We get that gut feeling. We can see beyond what men can typically see, especially as it relates to an ex. And when a man, again, going back to wanting to be a hero, wanting to be the good guy, we understand that that ex is using the children. And he may understand to a degree, but he may not see a way out of it. And that's why we're going to have talks about this. Right now, I'm just laying a foundation of the why. We already know the who, and then we're going to talk about what to do in these cases. When you see manipulation, when you see control by the ex, how do you move? Because you cannot say, she's just using the children as a pawn. You cannot say, she doesn't want you anymore. She doesn't want me to have you. You cannot say, she's miserable and she wants to make sure you're miserable too. That's not an answer. So you can say that, but it's not going to produce an answer to help navigate through the why. It's an identifier. However, a man needs more than that. And that's where this podcast is going to come in because I'm going to walk you through actionable steps, all right? Ways that you can handle a manipulating, controlling ex. I promise you it is not easy. And I wish I had someone around to help me when I was in this predicament. But it's okay because I learned a lot and I can help you. I appreciate you watching. If you know someone who's struggling with an ex, whether they're engaged or they're already married, and they're wondering, how in the world am I going to handle this? What have I gotten myself into? Make sure you share this podcast. Make sure you explain to them, you know what? I know somebody who can help you work through this. I promise you, with my experience, we can get through it. All right. Coach Verlyn, again, make sure you visit my website, verlyntarleton.com. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already, and make sure you share this out with 3, 4, 5 friends. And it's not just for women per se. Sometimes men need to hear it from another person. They may not be able to hear it at first from the woman that they're dealing with, but they can hear it from another woman and get a different perspective. You know how that works. It's like parenting. You can say something to your children 100 times. A stranger comes and says the same thing. Wow, all of a sudden it's some deep revelation, right? It just is what it is. So you need grace and you need a lot of patience to work through this. And that's what I'm here for. Again, thank you for joining me. In the meantime, may you experience extraordinary love. Bye for now.